The 12's delivered. We reached 49,000 subscribers here on Seahawks Today, but we're not stopping there. We appreciate you guys for reaching that milestone, but I want to get to 50,000 subs before the Super Bowl. I've been told by the bosses that if we don't get to 50 before the Super Bowl, then we might have to start doing some Niners content around here. Don't let that happen. Subscribe now for the latest happenings on your favorite team here on Seahawks Today, and we'll get started with today's show. Could the Seattle Seahawks have already found their next defensive coordinator? We will tell you who that is, the leading candidate, in just a matter of moments. Also, we have an update on Geno Smith's future with the Seahawks organization, a new head coach. What does that mean for the Seahawks quarterback? We'll dive into that coming up later on in today's show. Our second video of the day here on the channel. Glad to have you with us. Tyler Jones here. Thanks for stopping by. We are starting off with Joe Cullen, the Kansas City Chiefs defensive line coach, getting ready to coach in the Super Bowl later on this week for the AFC champion Kansas City Chiefs, is, according to reports, the leading candidate to be the next defensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks. Now, to kind of set the scene for you here, if you recall, at the end of last week, Leslie Frazier was hired on the Seahawks coaching staff, but not as DC, assistant head coach. And we've heard from Mike Macdonald that he is going to call the plays when it comes to the defense, but whoever is DC will still be a significant role, and Joe Cullen could be the right guy for that. Listen to this from Jonathan Jones of CBS Sports NFL Insider saying the following: Chiefs defensive line coach Joe Cullen is considered a candidate for several defensive coordinator jobs. Sources say his name is in the mix with the Seahawks and Commanders, as well as the University of Michigan. So who is Joe Cullen, you may be asking? Well, he's been with the Chiefs since 2022 as their D-line coach, helped them get a Super Bowl title last year, and they have another chance to get one here this weekend against San Francisco. But a lot of experience around the National Football League, as he's been a defensive assistant for the Jags, Browns, Bucks, and Ravens over an 11-year stretch before he ultimately ended up in Kansas City, and now looking for his opportunity to potentially get to lead a defense as a D coordinator. And when we talk about relationships, remember the news that we told you earlier today about Jay Harbaugh getting hired as special teams coordinator, that he, as well as Mike Macdonald, went back a ways, right? That they were together at the University of Michigan with the Baltimore Ravens. Well, Cullen and Macdonald also have history, some familiarity with one another. They were both on staff together with the Baltimore Ravens. Now, when we look at the track record of Joe Cullen, it's pretty good. When you look at that group that he leads with the Kansas City Chiefs, that defensive line, and the Chiefs defense this year has the best sack rate of any team in the National Football League at about 8.58%. So when you're watching the Super Bowl this weekend, keep a little extra eye on to see how that Chiefs defensive line does getting after Brock Purdy and company of that 49ers team. In particular, Chris Jones has had a very good season, 10.5 sacks there from the interior of the defensive line. He's had a very good year, and Joe Cullen's put him in good situations to succeed. Cullen's got an interesting story, too. This was somebody that has faced a lot of adversity over the years. And with the adversity, with the struggles that he dealt with on and off the field, being in and out of coaching, he made a personal choice to give up alcohol 18 years ago, and he's been sober ever since. So this is somebody that has shown a lot of discipline, a lot of intestinal fortitude, which is what you want to see in a head coach that, or when an assistant coach rather, that can put that extra mile, that extra step in. And think about this. Cullen's been a part of championship caliber defenses, right? This year with Kansas City, and last year, of course. I would have no problem with this hire. If this is the direction that Mike Macdonald and John Schneider want to go, I don't see how you could not like this hire. Would it be my first choice? Probably not, if I'm going to be frank. But I wouldn't be opposed, wouldn't be against this if this is the direction they decide. Should Joe Cullen be the next defensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks? What do you guys think? H for hire, D for don't. Weigh in the comment section. Tell us what you think. Today's show is sponsored by Game Time. Game Time is the place to go for the best seats, the lowest prices guaranteed, whether you're talking sporting events, concerts, theater productions, comedy shows, and more. Game Time makes it so easy, so simple. And we always talk all the time about how first-time users can get $20 off with promo code Seahawks Chat when they pick their seat and find the seat they want, and they're checking out within a matter of moments. It's very easy, right? Well, we are taking it a step further this week. If you're planning to head to Vegas to go to the big game to see the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the San Francisco 49ers, you can save $100 off when you use the promo code Vegas100. And on top of that, if you're a first-time user, you can still use the Seahawks Chat promo code and get $20 off as well. You can apply both promo codes, which is just unheard of, if we're going to be frank with you, and save $120 on tickets to the big game potentially this Sunday. So, what are you waiting for? Download Game Time today. Terms and conditions to apply. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Game Time, proud partner of Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Check them out. Download today. You'll be glad you did. What is next for Seahawks quarterback Geno Smith? A new report from Brady Henderson of ESPN goes through the situation that Geno Smith is kind of in right now with some uncertainty about his future. And whether Pete Carroll was the coach or Mike Macdonald, whoever, this was going to be an issue of some sorts for Geno Smith, that it wasn't a given that he's going to be back next year. So where do things stand right now? Let's start off with what John Schneider said a while back about Geno Smith. He said, I think Geno had a good season. It was a little bit opposite of last year. He started out real strong last year. Things dipped a little bit the second half. And then I thought this year he started out not quite as strong as last year, but then finished in a real strong manner. Now, that's not a 100% vote of confidence there from John Schneider when it comes to Geno Smith. And it's worth noting, too, when we go back in time, if we took a ride on the hot tub time machine to when Geno Smith was named the starter up until the end of the Pete Carroll era, Geno was always Pete's guy, okay? John liked him. We're not denying that. But he was always Pete's guy. Pete was the reason why Geno Smith started the last two seasons. I think that's very important for what we're about to tell you next. Listen to this from Brady Henderson of ESPN. Schneider's tepid assessment of Smith's play in 2023 stood in contrast to how Carroll often spoke of him, repeatedly deflecting blame away from the quarterback and at one point calling him one of his favorite all-time guys. Now, let's go to the new head coach. That's Mike Macdonald. And Mike Macdonald, in a press release on the Seahawks website, delivered a statement, was asked about Geno Smith, and he didn't fully commit. He said some nice things, but he didn't fully commit to Geno in the future with this organization. Listen to this from your new Seahawks head coach, Mike Macdonald. We've played against Geno. He's a really good player. I'm pretty sure he's at the Pro Bowl right now. We're going to build around the quarterback. You've got to. He said the quarterback. He didn't say we're going to build around Geno Smith. Very important distinction there. Now, what about Geno's future, and how could this all unfold? When it comes to the Seahawks, they're going to figure it out one way or the other pretty quickly here. February 16th, that is the trigger date that the Seahawks have to cut Geno due to salary. If they wait till after that, then they are likely not going to cut Geno Smith. It doesn't really make financial sense to do so. So if it's a cut, it's got to happen pretty fast. Now, the trade window, that is a little bit longer. That takes you to about March 17th. Of when the Seahawks could potentially have to trade Geno Smith and owe nothing. Now, they might owe nothing, but with a trade, there would still be a $17.4 million cap hit in dead money for this upcoming year. And then, of course, you have the draft on April 25th, the first round of the NFL draft, where you could be potentially finding Geno Smith's replacement. So I would think that there's still a more likely chance that Geno is back next year than not, but he has lost a big confidant in his corner in Pete Carroll. That's obvious. And we're going to know this answer one way or the other pretty soon, but the chances of Geno being back compared to if Pete were still around are much less. And then, even beyond that, I think it's realistically what we've talked about on this channel for quite some time. It's still the same situation. If you bring Geno back, that's fine, but he's not the long-term solution. And I think that's okay. You can bring Geno back, but you still have to start thinking about what's that next chapter? What's that next chapter ahead? Will Geno Smith return to Seattle in 2024? Type Y for yes, N for no. Let us know what you think if Geno Smith is back next year or not. Subscribe now to the channel. Let's get to 50,000 subs before the end of the week, and we'll see you next time here on Seahawks.